Drugs and alcohol. This is really a difficult discussion to talk about, I think, just because drugs and alcohol is such a serious kind of topic. I'll just get right to the point. I've lost a couple of friends through drugs and alcohol, so it is, somewhat sentimental to me. And then I'll give you some stories about my life, and then I'll give you some stories about some Olympians and other folks, so that you can have a better direction and/or execution of why you should or shouldn't be doing this. The first thing I'm going to say to you is, it's your choice. Choice actually is a very good discussion or talk. You have the choice in our country, in the USA, and a lot of other countries in the world to do whatever you want all the time, anytime, whenever you want to. A lot of things are going to come down to the decisions that you make in your life, and they're going to guide and direct you. In other words, what you did yesterday and the day before that perhaps can affect what you do going forward, especially with training. Okay, here's my story about drugs and alcohol. When I was in high school, I didn't drink at all. I think I went to one party in high school, and I got intoxicated once. And it was a bad deal. I had a bad experience, so I never did it again. And I just focused on training, and I ended up winning a Greco-Roman state title, a freestyle state title, and a folk style state title. I started wrestling as a 14-year-old, and by the time I was 16 and 17, I was becoming a state champion and going to junior nationals, and things were great. I thought I was on the top of the world. Then I got to college. Things kind of changed just a little bit. When I was at home, it wasn't necessarily frowned upon. My mom was doing what she was doing, which was providing me a place to live and support and love and nurturing and all those things that parents do, and that helped me thrive and survive. She wasn't necessarily saying, don't do this, don't do that. She just let me, do what I needed to do. And based on my own judgment, I decided that, that's not a good deal. When I got to college, I didn't necessarily have a mom around all the time, so even though she never said, don't do this, don't do that, man, when your mom's around, you're less likely to do things that you think are probably a bad idea. When you're in college, you don't have a mom or a dad, for instance. So you may be inclined to do a whole bunch of other things. That's the choice that I made, and I've got to live with those choices for the rest of my life. Getting right to the point. I drank a lot in college. Was it good for me to do? Probably not. I wasn't 21. I could have ended a lot of lives, and I have to live with that for the rest of my life. I understand that the choices that I made in college affected me for the rest of my wrestling career. I ended up having 4 knee surgeries in college, and when I look back now, I'm 41 now, and everything has kind of come to full circle. I can see things much more clearly now because it's my life I'm looking at, and I think because I didn't come to practice all the time ready to go, a lot of times I was hungover, a lot of times I was tired, a lot of times I wasn't mentally prepared, but I was a good athlete, so it wasn't something that prevented me from going to practice. That was the reason why I was in college, as far as I could see. So I was going to get to practice regardless of what physical state I was in. However, my body actually started breaking down at a young age. I think I had my first surgery at 19, and then I had 3 more by the time I was 26. I had 2 major knee surgeries, which were ACL reconstructions. Anybody that's been in sport a long time knows that those things take from 7 to 15 months to recover from. So I'm giving you this story of my example so that you can make decisions based on what you think you should be doing with your life. I submit that the reasons why I had those surgeries was because I wasn't always coming to practice ready to go. I wasn't doing whatever it took to keep my body in tip-top shape. When you're an athlete, man, you have to keep your body and your mind in tip-top shape, or it will start to erode. It will start to erode, and if it starts to erode and you're unaware of it, that's how I got caught. I wasn't, even though I'm having all these surgeries, I wasn't aware that, this is affecting that, and that's a choice that I decided. Maybe I blocked, those things that I was doing in my life to, they didn't make any sense. Years later, all of it made sense. Okay, so that's my story. I'm just suggesting that because I drank a lot in college and because I wasn't necessarily prepared for the practice, it wore on my body, and ultimately I ended up having 4 knee surgeries. Ultimately it got me out of the sport. I actually, fast forward to the end, I actually was an athlete at the Olympic Training Center because of things that I had done in high school and in college. I was selected to train at the first freestyle resident program. Again, I messed up. That is part of my motivation actually right now, because I didn't achieve the goals that I wanted to achieve way back when. Man, it drives me now. It drives me to get across to student athletes that you don't have to take the route that I did. You can use me as an example if you like, but you can take a different route. I'm explaining to you, I've done this and I've done that, and here's the outcome. A lot of times though, in my experience, athletes want to find out for themselves, which is fine. I'm just simply saying that you have a choice to make. Okay, that's example number 1. Example number 2, drugs and performance-enhancing drugs. Now you're saying, well, why are you talking about both of them? To me, a drug is a drug. You just put the P in front of it. Now it's performance-enhancing drug. Clear examples of performance-enhancing drugs in this day and age are steroids, human growth hormone, and EPO. EPO is the performance-enhancing drug that they use for cycling and some other sports. Human growth hormone and steroids are probably used more across the board. You've probably heard about those more. What are the byproducts and why are those? Why should not use those? You shouldn't use them because in the NCAA and then the IOC, they're against the rules. If you use things that are against the rules, you're cheating. If you're cheating and you get caught, you're going to be banned from the Olympic Games for some time, and or you could do a lot of damage psychologically and physically to your body. You may become so dependent on those performance-enhancing drugs, you don't think you can compete without them. And then B, you can lose your opportunity to compete in the Olympic Games. Right now, as I say this happened. In the last 2 Olympic quads, this happened to 2 world champions. One was a male world champion and he got banned from the sport, wrestler, and another was a female world champion and she got banned from the sport. She actually made the Olympic team and she just got banned. So you can, you know, fill in the gaps wherever you want. I'll know other Olympic champions who have, you know, they became Olympic champions maybe while they were under the influence of all of these other things. And then after the Olympics, something happened to them. I know in particular one Olympic champion, his life has been in a spiral since he's been on, you know, he's on a couple Olympic teams because he was doing all of these drugs. And I don't know if he was doing performance-enhancing drugs, but he was definitely doing things that interrupted his decision-making process. And I think that's what the drugs do. Either performance-enhancing drug or people like to call them recreational drugs. If they're illegal, then you're running the risk of doing a lot of damage to your body and your mind, and you're running the risk of being banned by whatever sport organization you're dealing with. Olympic sports have an organization and collegiate sports have their different organizations. And I subscribe and submit and suggest you need to figure out which drugs are illegal and legal, and then you would make choices based off of those. If it's an over-the-counter drug, you got to be very careful with that too. The Olympic Committee has several drugs that are over-the-counter that are Olympically banned. You can take a look at the last several Olympics. I have 2 more examples that I'm going to give you, and then you can, you know, decide what you want to do with your life. And you may know these people. As I said earlier, I trained at the Olympic Training Center from 1997 through 1999. 2 people that I trained with, one in my sport became an Olympic champion, and another outside of my sport became an Olympic champion. Why? Because people in their sport made decisions that affected their ability to keep that gold medal. And it's like, what in the heck does that mean? Well, they were champions, and then when they did their drug test after the Olympic ceremony, they were found to be users of said drugs. They took that medal and then gave it to Brandon Slay, who was someone that was on that resident team with me in 1997 through 99. He stayed there, I think, until 2001. He was an Olympic champion in 2000. He got beat in the finals. The guy got drug tested. Boom, they gave him the Olympic championship. So he's Olympic champion forever, as he likes to say. Tara Knott, I think she got married now. Her name is different. She was also second in the 2000 Olympics. You can look this stuff up. If you don't believe me, check it out. Read it online. You'll find out. But I knew these people, so it's very close to my heart. Tara Knott came, you know, back in the day. She was a second place, I think at 48 kilos actually. At 48 kilos, she was second place, which is honorable. I never won an Olympic medal. That's great. Guess what? The person above her on the other rung, the top rung, Olympic champion, got her hand raised and all that stuff. They did the ceremony. A couple days later, guess what happens? They find out that she has used performance-enhancing drugs. Okay, so 2 examples clearly of people using drugs and whatnot. And, you know, you can have the ability to go from one place to the next place just based on people breaking the rules and cheating. And the example of me with alcohol, I decided that that's what I wanted to do, and now I've got to live with that for the rest of my life. So again, I just give those to you as options. Use those options. Figure out what you want to do with your life, and then make the right choice, and understand that alcohol is a drug, and drugs, and for the most part, are illegal, and you need to decide and choose and maybe do some research and figure out which ones are illegal and are legal, so that you have the best opportunity to perform at a high level, whatever sport you're in, or whatever, you know, whatever you're doing. Some people may not necessarily be inclined to be in sport, but they, you know, they have jobs. They want to become great speakers. They want to become great actors. They want to become great singers. You guys get the point. There's countless people in those sort of professions that they make different choices to. Again, I leave it up to you. Choices need to be made. Make the right choice for you, and then you can move forward. Alcohol and drugs. You can find out more information like this at youtube.com, Coach Shannon. Coach Shannon Talks.